Fraser Olender and Jess Theron break the fourth wall in shocking below-deck moment. No cameras. Below Deck's Fraser Olender and Jess Theron confronted the film crew after a heated blow-up with Kyle Stilley. Below Deck's Fraser Olender is done with his fellow yachties making him out to be a villain, and he just made that crystal clear during a shocking fourth wall-breaking moment with Jess Theron. As seen on Season 12, Episode 12, Kyle Stilley toasted the St. David crew during an off-charter group dinner, on the heels of Captain Kerry Titheraj's decision to not fire him amid his own claim about hooking up with a charter guest, which he later denied. "I'm glad I'm still with you guys," Kyle said before adding, "I really thought that Fraser would have really, done me in." Moments later, Fraser, who had just dealt with Chef Anthony Iracane's accusation that he was responsible for his past firing, asked the deckhand to clarify what he meant. Though Damo Jorg immediately took the blame for Kyle having to face Captain Kerry, Kyle seemed to think there was more to the story. He fired back, "It's King both your fault." Related, Fraser speaks out on what really happened with Chef Anthony's firing, exclusive. After dropping some expletives about Kyle in French, Fraser abruptly exited the restaurant, venting on a hot mic, "I'm not playing this game. I'm not being villainized again." In a confessional, he told a producer he was done, explaining, "I'm pissed off. If anyone needs to be held accountable, it's Stilley himself." As Fraser attempted to secure a ride back to St. David outside the restaurant, both Fraser and Jess, who eventually followed him, spoke directly to the camera crew, asking them to stop filming. "Is it fine if we can just get the cameras away for a little bit?" Jess asked, before more firmly stating, "No cameras. I don't want this st. Please, just move away." Kyle Stilley makes a damning statement about Fraser Olender and Damo Jorg. As shown during the previous episode, Kyle had no choice but to come clean to Captain Kerry, following a private conversation between Fraser and Damo Jorg. At the top of the August 18th episode, Damo checked in with Kyle to see how he was doing in the wake of drama surrounding him falsely alleging that he had sexual contact with a co-primary named Helen. During their chat, Damo told him, "I feel guilty for talking to Fraser." Kyle's response? "I get it, mate. It's one of them ones where I know you weren't doing it maliciously. No stress." Related, we have new details on Kyle Stilley's rumored hookup with a charter guest video. Damo still wanted to make sure that all was good between them, and the Scottish deckhand assured him, "Oh yeah.
Don't stress, man.
It just is what it is." However, Kyle struck a different tone in a confessional, questioning who he could trust among the below-deck crew. Damo could have just kept his mouth shut. He's not got a good track record anyway. It just proves that I have got to watch where I keep my alliances. When Kyle first made the claims about Helen during episode 11, Fraser, though skeptical of their validity, immediately denounced the whole stupid, irresponsible, and insane situation. "Do I think it happened? I don't know," the chief stew admitted to a producer. "Plausible deniability. You're surrounded by every single other guest and crew member on a public beach. Regardless, that's inappropriate. That's unacceptable." After his chat with Damo, Fraser worried that his and the rest of the crew's jobs could also be on the line if Captain Kerry caught wind of them keeping the fireable offense a secret. "I love this boy and I don't want to see him going anywhere, but to be bragging about that is really, really reckless," Fraser elaborated. "So, he should be responsible for his own behavior. I don't want it to get any worse than it already is." That's why he and Damo decided the best course forward would be for Kyle to personally address the situation with the captain, before someone else did. As Fraser concluded, "I think that it's far better coming from Kyle himself. We have to be accountable for our own behavior, whether it's true or not." Kyle has since clarified again that he did not hook up with the charter guest. "No, definitely not, no," he told host Andy Cohen on the August 11th episode of Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen. "I'll be honest with you, Andy, there was a point in time where I was in that sea where I thought potentially something may have happened, but nothing did happen." Get more with Bravo Insider. Sign up for Bravo Insider and read behind-the-scenes features including Cynthia Bailey unpacks the differences between filming RHOA and Rob, night and day. Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, A complete guide according to Bravolebs. Brittany Cartwright reveals the real reason she wore that tiny romper to a job interview. Backfired. Angela Oakley on the RHWA beef she squashed too soon, and what you didn't see at the reunion. Confessional Interviews 101. What Bravolebs eat, how they prepare, and more behind-the-scenes secrets. Get more details on what happened after Kyle and Captain Kerry discussed his charter guest hookup claims. We have new details on Kyle Stilley's rumored hookup with a charter guest video. The Below Deck cast spilled on what they believe really happened between Kyle Stilley and charter guest Helen. Below Deck's Kyle Stilley landed himself in hot water after claiming, and later denying, that he hooked up with a married charter guest. Despite evading any serious consequences, the St. David deckhand still has some things to clear up with Captain Kerry Titherage and his fellow crew members, though. In the above first look at Season 12, Episode 12, airing on August 18th, Damo Jurg checks in to see how Kyle's doing after the allegations put his job on the line. Kyle says that he's good and plans to just keep the head down and not say anything stupid, moving forward, while Damo admits to feeling guilty for addressing the issue with Chief Stew Fraser Olender, resulting in Kyle's uncomfortable one-on-one with Captain Kerry. Though Kyle insists that he understands his fellow deckhand's position and encourages him not to stress about any potential beef between them before hugging it out, he is more forthcoming with producer afterward. Related, Captain Kerry and Fraser tease Kyle Stilley's alleged hookup with a married charter guest. It's a wake-up call in a professional sense and also in, how you trust other people, Kyle says in a confessional, referencing Damo. He could have just kept his mouth shut. He's not got a good track record anyway. It just proves that I have got to watch where I keep my alliances. Elsewhere, as a new group of charter guests arrive, Kyle notes that he's not allowed to speak to them and has to stay away from guests, in general. How the Below Deck crew reacted to Kyle Stilley's alleged charter guest hookup. Kyle first alleged that he secretly had a brief sexual encounter with co-primary Helen, in the sea, to Chef Anthony Iracane, Hugo Ortega, and Soline Favreau while en route to his birthday celebration on St. Martin during Episode 11. He repeated the claim, bragging in front of Damo, Fraser, and Rainbow de Roos, later on, leaving all of the above stunned and in disbelief. Maybe he did do it, maybe he didn't, Bosun Hugo stated in a confessional. Fraser shared that sentiment. We can't have crew that are opening up to a boundary and getting too familiar with guests. That would be stupid, irresponsible, and insane. Regardless, that's inappropriate. So, I am worried that this might put Kyle in the firing line. Later, the Chief Stew added, "Do I think it happened? I don't know. Plausible deniability. You're surrounded by every single other guest and crew member on a public beach. It might have just been a slip-in and slip-out situation. Regardless, that's inappropriate. That's unacceptable." Related, Captain Kerry shuts down drunk charter guest after being threatened. "You're off the boat." Damo, meanwhile, explained he was coming from a place of concern for Kyle possibly having some deeper issues. "He's still hurting on the inside," he said, citing both the Helen rumors and Kyle's mid-birthday dinner hookup with a stranger he met at the bar. "I'm seeing somebody that's crying out for help. So, yeah, I am concerned." While addressing the issue with Fraser, Damo continued, "I'm not seeing the fun party boy. I see it as, somebody in pain." After their conversation, Fraser worried that keeping the secret could put all of their jobs on the line. Now that these rumors can spread and possibly Captain can hear it, talking about something that's actually incredibly unacceptable and a fireable offense, "I think that it's far better coming from Kyle himself," he stated. "We have to be accountable for our own behavior, whether it's true or not." So, Damo agreed to approach Kyle and suggest that he bring the situation to Captain Kerry's attention before someone else did. How Captain Kerry Titherage investigated if Kyle Stilley hooked up with charter guest Helen. After insisting to Damo that he was joking about the whole thing, Kyle agreed to face Captain Kerry and share his side of the story. "You know me, I'm a bit of a loudmouth. I kind of say things without thinking sometimes," Kyle explained to St. David's leader. "On the beach yesterday with the primary, we were rather close. Nothing did happen, but I've maybe said things that would suggest that something did happen." As he added, however, "Dead set looking you in the eye, nothing happened at all." I really hope you do believe me because genuinely nothing did happen. But I understand your position. Noting that the boat has a reputation, Captain Kerry told Kyle that he needed to chat with the crew before he made any decisions. Are you kidding me? Why would you make up a story like that? Kerry said in a confessional. My immediate reaction is, you're full of and you're lying to me. This is unacceptable. I need to investigate this further, and if he did it, he deserves to leave the vessel. One by one, he sat down with Damo, Fraser, Hugo, and Rainbow, all of whom were skeptical that anything actually happened between Kyle and Helen, chalking up the whole situation to drunken chatter. At the beach, Helen was requesting him to go in the water with her and hold her up, Damo described to the captain. And he was doing that. And she was topless. But there was always, like 2 or 3 other guests around him. As Hugo added in a confessional, I really would like to think that Kyle is professional enough that he wouldn't do it, but I'm pretty disappointed by the whole thing regardless. We don't want the boat to have a reputation that when you charter that yacht, the crew are going to sleep with you, or the crew are going to be hitting on you. Like, that's not a professional type of environment that I want to be a part of either. Why Captain Kerry Theron didn't fire Kyle Stilley. After concluding his investigation, Captain Kerry sat Kyle down again and told him, everyone I've spoken to thinks you're full of that you were just talking Still, he asked one final time, did you do it? To which the Scotland native responded, I definitely didn't do it, number 100%, dead straight in the eye, I did not do it, Cap. However, Kyle played coy when a producer asked him the same question afterward, instructing them to give Helen a call if they want answers. Kerry concluded, with the evidence I have, I want you to stay. But pull your head in and get the job done. I don't want you that close to guests anymore. Get more with Bravo Insider. Sign up for Bravo Insider and read behind-the-scenes features including Cynthia Bailey unpacks the differences between filming RHOA and Rob, night and day. Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, a complete guide according to Bravolebs. Brittany Cartwright reveals the real reason she wore that tiny romper to a job interview. Backfired. Angela Oakley on the RHOA beef she squashed too soon, and what you didn't see at the reunion. Confessional Interviews 101. What Bravolebs eat, how they prepare, and more behind-the-scenes secrets. In a confessional, he elaborated, I can't fire the guy on a hunch. He can be reprimanded, but at the end of the day, everyone says to me they don't believe it, they didn't see anything. And I can't prove it. What can I do? Find out what happened with Helen's friend Kelly after their out-of-control below-deck charter. Fraser speaks out on what really happened with Chef Anthony's firing, exclusive. Fraser Olender addresses rumors about his role in Chef Anthony Iracane's below-deck Season 11 dismissal. Fraser Olender is revealing new details about his alleged role in Chef Anthony Iracane previously getting fired after their drama reached a boiling point on Below Deck, Season 12, Episode 8. In an exclusive interview with The Daily Dish, Fraser explained that his goal was to not be reactive after Anthony continued to blame him for Captain Kerry Theron letting him go from St. David in the middle of Season 11. From his perspective, he was simply fulfilling his chief stew duties by being honest with Captain Kerry about his friend's job performance. I think a lot of people are under the impression that I was the reason why Chef Anthony was fired last season, he said. It's my job as the chief stew to be the messenger to the captain, to why things aren't going well, to why the guests are very unhappy and are not leaving us tips. And if I didn't do that, would I really be a good chief stew? I don't think so. Ultimately, Fraser said he made the decision to be candid with the captain for the crew and for the sake of the then-ongoing charter season success. Related, Chef Anthony Iracane has questions for Fraser Olender about his Season 11 firing video. I was asked a very honest question. Is Chef nailing it? And the answer's no, he continued. I'd like anyone to come up with any sort of evidence of that not being the case. But again, people will come for me regardless. The chief stew also pointed out that Captain Kerry rehired Chef Anthony for Season 12 on his recommendation. I did bring him back because I know his passion, I know his skill set, I know he's fantastic, and more importantly, we work phenomenally well with each other, Fraser concluded. I didn't know coming in that Anthony was having these feelings towards me, but at the end of the day, that's all personal, and I'm here to do a job. Fraser Olender sheds new light on Chef Anthony Hurricane's firing. During episode 8, Chef Anthony had multiple conversations with Rainbow DeRoos on the subject, eventually declaring, "I forgive, but I don't forget." To prove she had Fraser's back 100%, she debriefed her superior while the crew enjoyed a couple days off at a villa on St. Martin. "He got fired last year because he was ST, not because of me," Fraser told her. In a confessional, he elaborated, "Chef got fired because he couldn't do his job." Enough of this blame game. It was all social media. That just bothers me so much. Related, Fraser Olender slams Chef Anthony for massive mistake with charter guest. "We look stupid." Fraser also further unpacked his season 11 candor with Captain Kerry about Anthony not considering charter guest preferences and his meals lacking superior standards. "I did not want him to go," he insisted. "I wanted him to have another chance or have a firm, stern talking to. Next thing I know, he's packing."
Kerry didn't tell me.
But at the end of the day, he is not taking responsibility for not doing his job and for being fired. If you can't see your faults, that's a really big red flag. Inside Fraser Olender's confrontation with Chef Anthony Hurricane. After Chef Anthony had a meltdown over most of the St. David crew members relaxing instead of helping him prepare their meal, he admitted in a confessional that there was a lot of emotion still lingering between him and Fraser from last season. Anthony also described his bottled-up anger as growing, to the point he was about to explode. Finally, Fraser went to Anthony's room to get to the bottom of what was really going on with him, at which point he revealed that Barbie Pasquale had informed him that Fraser got him fired. Related, Chef Anthony Hurricane details his very challenging start to Below Deck Season 12 amid drama. Having reached his limit, Fraser unloaded on Anthony, again vehemently denying that he was responsible for his close friend's mid-season dismissal. He also later referred to Barbie's accusation as a lie and alleged that she was coming for him amid their own personal issues. It wasn't working. Fraser fumed to Anthony. "You're king here because I brought you back. 'Cause I wanted you back. I did not get you king fired." After admitting they both felt sad about the entire situation, the two eventually hugged it out and made up. Get more with Bravo Insider. Sign up for Bravo Insider and read behind-the-scenes features including Cynthia Bailey unpacks the differences between filming RHOA and Rob, night and day. Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, a complete guide according to Bravolebs. Brittany Cartwright reveals the real reason she wore that tiny romper to a job interview. Backfired. Angela Oakley on the RHOA beef she squashed too soon, and what you didn't see at the reunion. Confessional Interviews 101. What Bravolebs eat, how they prepare, and more behind-the-scenes secrets. "I love you, Chef. Stop this tea," Fraser said, encouraging Anthony to stop being insecure and paranoid. Before putting the issue to rest, Fraser stated one last time in a confessional, "Honest truth, we were inundated by complaints because of the galley. If Captain comes to me and asks me how things are going, I'm not going to cover for anyone. And in French, we say, point final. And in English, y'all say, period." Get more details on what led to Chef Anthony's Below Deck Season 11 firing here. Chef Anthony Hurricane details his very challenging start to Below Deck Season 12 amid drama. Chef Anthony Hurricane explained his complicated feelings about being back on St. David for Below Deck Season 12. Below Deck Chef Anthony Hurricane is back, and the stakes couldn't be higher. Anthony returned to Below Deck in Season 12, Episode 2, and as he officially got started in Episode 3, he was hoping to redeem himself after his chaotic experience on St. David in Season 11. More on that below. "It's not for everyone to get a second chance," Anthony said on the June 16th episode. "And, I remember what happened last season. So, it's a lot of pressure because I cannot make any mistakes." To ease him back into the job, Captain Kerry Titherage partnered Anthony with Chef Lauren Snowden, who announced he would be departing from the ship in Episode 2 for the first day of the boat's second charter. Anthony was nervous to collaborate with Lawrence and said that working with another chef can be very challenging. It can be like a drama. One chef wants to be the best and the other chef wants to be the best, Anthony said in a confessional. So, it's going to be a big fight in the end. We'll see how we can work together. Hopefully for the best. What you may have missed on Bravo. Andy Cohen and Hannah Ferrier react to Below Deck Season 12 chef. Kyle Stilley reveals new details on Barbie Pasquale relationship. Where is the Below Deck Season 12 crew from? Cast details. Anthony Iracane reacts to working with Lawrence Snowden. Despite his reservations, Anthony and Lawrence worked well together, serving up a delicious French cabaret-themed dinner for the charter guests. It was great to have Chef Lawrence for the first charter, Anthony said in the episode. It really helped me to calm down and just be focused. Lawrence left the next day, leaving Anthony to his own devices. Once alone, Anthony admitted his anxieties in a confessional. Me getting fired on St. David, it was a really terrible moment, Anthony said. I was thinking, damn, at the end, I'm a loser. I'm a bad chef. Honestly, I have everything to lose right now. Chef Anthony Iracane explains complicated feelings about reuniting with Fraser Olender. Although Chief Stew Fraser Olender encouraged Kerry to hire Anthony in episode 2, Anthony wasn't so sure about Fraser's loyalty as he believed Fraser had a hand in his season 11 firing. He first brought this up in episode 2 when he declared that Fraser betrayed him. In episode 3, he further explained his mixed emotions about their relationship. Me and Fraser, I feel like he's really part of my family, Anthony said in an episode interview. And I feel he also maybe was a little part of my departure last season. Get more with Bravo Insider. Sign up for Bravo Insider and read behind-the-scenes features including Cynthia Bailey unpacks the differences between filming RHOA and Rob, night and day. Receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots, a complete guide according to Bravolebs. Brittany Cartwright reveals the real reason she wore that tiny romper to a job interview. Backfired. Angela Oakley on the RHOA beef she squashed too soon, and what you didn't see at the reunion. Confessional Interviews 101. What Bravolebs eat, how they prepare, and more behind-the-scenes secrets. He added, it's going to be hard between charter, between everything, to find the right, perfect moment to talk about my feelings with Fraser. Based on a flash-forward in episode 2 capturing the two crew members having an explosive argument about Anthony's season 11 firing, we can expect this issue to play out on-screen soon enough. Why was Anthony Iracane fired on Below Deck Season 11? Anthony was fired by Captain Kerry in Season 11, Episode 12 for what he described as declining food quality and poor attention to detail. I think you're an incredible chef. Your food is absolutely amazing, Kerry said at the time. But you're starting to kind of nosedive. Although Anthony objected, Kerry stood firm in his decision. This is not the